So I was recently farming the Banished Knights for their armor set. You can only really get the set through farming, and the unaltered armor is pretty hard to get. The enemy that I ended up farming is in Castle Sol, and he's pretty tough. He's got the two swords and kind of just kills me immediately whenever I try to kill him normally. I ended up coming up with an idea to try to raise my discovery stat as much as I could, and then kind of cheese him so I don't have to worry about dying while I'm doing the runs. I figured I might as well show people what I did in case other people are also having trouble with him. So first of all, you want to have as high of a discovery stat as you can so you don't have to do as many runs. The best way to increase it is by increasing your arcane through Rebirth. You can just switch to an arcane build temporarily, and then once you have all the items that you want, you can switch back again. You can respec quite a lot in this game, so it's not that big of an issue if you have to do it a couple times. For the strategy that I came up with, other than Rebirth, the things that you're going to want is any weapon that does good backstab damage and a great shield. So make sure when you do Rebirth you will have the minimum stats for those weapons. Also make sure that you can change the Ash of War so that it gives occult scaling so that you can scale it with arcane instead of whatever stat that you're normally doing. In Rebirth, endurance is going to be important since we're going to be holding a great shield, and then just make sure you have enough health so that they can't one-shot you through the shield. Once you have the minimum stats you need and a decent amount of endurance and vigor, just dump everything else into arcane to increase your arcane stat as much as possible. For your equipment, you want to have any weapon that does good backstab damage like I said earlier. I went with the Misery Cord since it has a really high critical hit. Change the weapon scaling to be occult so that you get good damage on it. And then equip any great shield. I went with the Golden Beast Crest shield since it was the easiest one for me to use without having to respec again. When I first did Rebirth, I didn't think about using a great shield yet, so I didn't have the minimum stats. That's why later you'll see that I have the Radigan Sword Seal on even though I don't really tell you to use it. To get even more arcane, you can use the Silver Tear Mask or other helmets that increase your arcane. The Silver Tear Mask in particular will decrease your damage, unfortunately, but it does increase your discovery still, so it's worth it. For armor, just go for the highest place possible. You don't really need to roll, so a heavy roll is fine. For talismans, there's two important ones. The main one is the Silver Scarab Talisman. Use that if you have it. It'll increase the drop chance for you. I unfortunately don't have it yet since it's in the Haligtree, I think, and I haven't got to that area yet. You'll also want to use the Green Turtle Talisman to boost your stamina recovery speed in between the blocks. You can use whatever talismans you want other than that, but the Great Shield Talisman, Viridian Amber Medallion, and Bull Goat Talisman are pretty good too for this strategy. The Physic also isn't really that big of a deal, but you can use the Green Spell Crystal tier to increase your stamina by quite a lot, and that's helpful. I also use the Opaline Hard tier to try to increase my damage negation. So, for the directions, you're going to want to start at the Church of the Eclipse at Castle Sol. The enemy's just down here, where that marker is. From the Grace, you're going to take a left and go out the left door. Then turn right and go up the ladder. They'll shoot at you, and even if they hit you, it won't do that much damage. This first enemy is sometimes worth killing so that he can't follow you over to the edge over here. And that is the enemy that can drop the item. Once you get to the enemy, you're just going to want to circle around him while holding block. Most of his moves will just bounce off other than the ice attacks that he does. After he finishes the entire ice attack, just walk around him and backstab him. He's usually pretty open and it's easy to do so. If you do get damaged a lot through the shield, or if you mess up and get hit, you can heal pretty easily since you have high poise. On top of the enemy just being kind of tough to kill, he's also pretty far away, and that makes it so that in between runs, there's a lot of downtime where you're just walking. This makes it so that if you really want to do it quick, you want to fast travel between your runs. Unfortunately, this also stops the effect of the Foulfoot if you use those. Luckily, you can farm these pretty easily, and I'm going to show you how to do that as well. First of all, you want the cookbook, which is in the Smoldering Church in Limgrave, or Caelid. It's kind of in between the two. It's on one of the bodies on near here. I'm not sure which one. The first ingredient that you're going to want to get is Roa fruit. There's a bunch of them all over the place, but you can go to Jarberg to get quite a few of them, and there's also a bunch of other plants you can farm at the same time. The next material you'll want to get is silver fireflies. These are also pretty easy to get. You just go to the Ainsel River main grace, and then just go north. The feet are a bit harder to get since they're only a drop, but luckily there's a very easy farming location for them. If you go to the Impassable Great Bridge Grace in Caelid, there's 3 penguins south of it that can drop them. It's helpful if you equip any kind of slashing weapon like the +0 broadsword that I'm using here. It still kills them in one hit, so it doesn't really matter if it's an upgraded weapon or not. The drop rate of these is pretty decent, so you don't even really need an arcane build to get them. If you're interested in also crafting the gold feet, the only difference is you need gold fireflies instead of silver fireflies. These are in Limgrave. You can just go to the Mistwood outskirts site of Grace and then travel southeast to a bit of a pool. There's a few bears nearby, but for some reason they don't really aggro even if you walk right past them. If you take the same path that I did, then you won't have any issues. While you have the arcane build, it's probably a good idea to also get the normal helmet. That's in the Cathedral of Dragon Communion in Caelid. Just farm the knight right next to the grace. If you don't get the altered helmet while you're trying to get the unaltered armor, then just go right before the grace that I use in Castle Soul. There's an enemy with a sword and shield, and he's much easier to kill than the twin swordsman. Let me know if there's an easier way to do this. I did see on the wiki that there's some sort of cheese, but it didn't seem to work when I was trying it. If you have any issues with the way that I did it, let me know and I can try to help you.